We'll switch above on another reaction. And today's video we've never seen a prospect like Caleb Downs by NFL stories. Michelle comes to show. I'm just getting to it. I seen a nigga say what no Skip Bayless and fucking Skip Bayless, Akib Talib and them Skip Bayless, he said Caleb Downs is gonna be what Cooper DeJean is for the Eagles. He gonna be like Cooper DeJean for the Cowboys. Respectfully, Cooper DeJean is good. He's an all-pro player. He is hella good. But college tape, if we're comparing Cooper DeJean to Caleb Downs, Caleb Downs didn't play a single snap yet, but college tape game, I Cooper DeJean's college tape is not better than no damn Caleb Downs college tape. This nigga Caleb Downs had the most tackles for Alabama as a freshman. Like, like stop it, bro.
Caleb Downs walked into Alabama as a true freshman and led the entire team in tackles.
Like,
And the Nick Saban
did
defense.
that, bro. Talk to him, bro. Like, niggas don't know about Caleb. I wanted the Saints to pick him over Jordan Tyson, but I'm cool with Jordan Tyson. I literally wanted Jordan Tyson or Caleb Downs. I'm happy with the Jordan Tyson pick, but Jordan Tyson gonna have to be an All Pro. Yeah, Jordan Tyson gonna have to win Offensive Rookie of the Year or be an All Pro. But if I could be happy, bro, like they better hope them injuries don't come back, bro. Caleb Downs is right there, bro. I wanted Caleb Downs, my nigga. Cowboys, y'all gotta steal, bro, for real.
Most first-year players spend half.
Niggas think we trolling when we say this nigga Ed Reed. Like, bro, this nigga is smart as fuck. Bro. They said Caleb Downs already know the playbook and he is practicing at different positions. I think the Cowboys defensive coordinator said that. Like, it's mini camp, it's rookie mini camp right now. They said that nigga Caleb Downs already know the playbook. This is a smart ass nigga, dude. Like, bro.
Half the season just learning how to line up, but Downs showed up and played like the best guy on the field from week 1. The thing about him is that he didn't slowly turn into a star because he arrived on campus as a great player already.
Your ass kind of look like Trey. Trey don't got a beard. I'm sure Trey don't got a beard, right? Yeah, Trey don't got no beard. Yeah, Trey. So this is my dog, bro. No, Trey got a goatee. Yeah, you look like Trey with a beard a little bit. I need a good picture of Trey, dude. Yeah, these niggas putting up trees. You look like Trey when he got glasses on. Like, I don't know. What's that?
Into a
Like, y'all kind of see it or nah? I don't know.
star because he arrived on campus as a great player already. Football isn't just a hobby for Caleb Downs, it's a family business. His father Gary played running back in the NFL for 7 years with
The Giants, y'all should have picked him too. But Caleb Downs would have probably made y'all Super Bowl favorites. Like, y'all already got fucking Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Arvell Reese. That's a good pick. But y'all could have but y'all could have had Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs. I'm tweaking. Gang, y'all had the 10th pick. Yeah, Cowboys got Caleb Downs right after y'all. Yeah, y'all could have had Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese, gang. Y'all niggas would have been Super Bowl, but that defense would have been nasty, bro. And y'all got Greg Newsome, Drew Phillips, and Cardale Flott. Like, bro.
the Giants, Broncos, and Falcons.
Like, Caleb Downs could have literally been the Nick Emmanwori for y'all and took y'all to the bowl.
And his uncle Dre Bly was a Pro Bowl cornerback who spent 12 seasons.
Damn, all that nigga families in the league. Hold on,
With the Giants,
that's a dad.
Broncos, and Falcons. And his uncle Dre Bly was a Pro Bowl cornerback who spent 12 seasons in the league. With his brother Josh currently playing receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, you can
his brother Josh short as fuck. He gotta be the shortest wide receiver in the league, right? He a slot wide receiver. That boy short.
see that Caleb represents 3 generations of people who understood exactly what it takes to play at the highest level. Caleb grew up right in the middle of all that professional experience. His dad had him and Josh lined up in the living room at 5 years old, fully padded and running Oklahoma drills head to head. That's the very first football memory Caleb can even recall. He wasn't watching a game on TV or throwing a ball in the yard. He was doing full contact drills because his dad wanted him to feel the game before he ever stepped onto a field. By the time he reached Mill Creek High School in Georgia, the foundation was already set. He finished his high school career as a top safety and the number 7 overall player in the entire 2023 recruiting class. He had offers from Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson, but he chose Alabama specifically because of Nick Saban. Caleb later admitted that picking the hardest defensive
Yeah, a lot of niggas. Once Nick Saban left, you don't see no niggas. Well, niggas still commit to Alabama, but barely now. And nigga won't go to Ohio State. Niggas won't go to Miami. You know what I'm saying?
system in college was a straightforward decision, which shows you a lot about a 17-year-old kid who was looking for a challenge. What happened next tells you everything you need to know about his work ethic. A Cowboy scout named Eric Ellingsworth was already visiting East Tennessee State to check on a different prospect
Nah, that's crazy. Kyle, but damn.
when he ran into Gary Downs, Caleb's father, who was coaching on the staff there. Gary mentioned that his son was already going through Alabama's defensive installs before he even moved on to campus. He wasn't just casually watching film, he was actually installing the pre-snap communication concepts while he was still a high school senior.
And when we compare niggas, when we compare Caleb Downs to Ed Reed, niggas be talking about some Ed Reed had 12 interceptions in college, bro. Everybody, every corner, safety, niggas is not getting a lot of interceptions no more. Cornerbacks is not getting a lot of interceptions no more. Pat Surtain, Christian Gonzalez, them niggas don't be having a lot of interceptions. Them niggas be having like 4 interceptions on the season. It's because I feel like quarterbacks, the game, the money, like the way quarterbacks play have changed. The money when it comes to quarterback is short passes, check downs, screens. Like quarterbacks not throwing deep like that no more. They're being more cautious with the ball and throwing short passes and slants and shit. So you can't get interceptions. You can't get a lot of interceptions.
Ellingsworth said that once he finally watched Caleb play as a freshman, he was ready to write the official scouting report immediately. The coaching staff at Alabama already described Caleb as one of the smartest defensive backs Saban had ever coached. And you got to think about that for a second because Xavier McKinney, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Pat Surtain, and Marlon Humphrey
Like, bro.
all went through the same program. That's the group Caleb is being measured against, and the people who know the program best put him as one of the very top of that list for football intelligence. He showed up at Alabama with an incredible pedigree, and then the games backed up every single word of the hype. So let's talk about what he actually did in that 1 year at Alabama because the numbers don't fully justify how absurd he actually was. Downs finished his true freshman year with 107 combined tackles, which meant he led the entire Crimson Tide roster in that category. He wasn't just the best among the freshmen or the defensive backs, but he actually topped the whole team. This wasn't some soft schedule packed with cupcakes either, as Alabama played in the SEC and went to the college football playoff, while Downs served as a leading tackler through all of it at 18 years old. To really understand why that number matters, you have to understand what Nick Saban's defense.
And bro, y'all notice how Caleb Downs be first? Like he's the first nigga to tackle a nigga. Like that's his instincts and how fast he is. Like he got fast processing. Like he be the first nigga to tackle him.
Actually demands from a player. This isn't a system where you pick a spot, read one key, and react, but rather a complex web of pre-snap communication and rotating coverages.
By the way, safeties is my favorite position. But bro, if I was playing, I never played football, but if I played football, I would have been a safety for sure. You know, I'm 5'7". Safeties, they my size. You know, I'm 5'7", which is short, but safeties, they be 5'10", 5'11". You know what I'm saying? Most like Eric Weddle, Reed, Troy Polamalu, they was 5'10", 5'11". You know?
Freshmen don't even play defense at all, and the ones that do usually get limited reps in specific situations where the risk is controlled. Caleb started every game, however, and he was the one doing the communicating and lining people up. The raw numbers of 2 interceptions, 4 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble still undersell his impact. What the games actually showed was a player who already understood angles the way veterans do.
And like, please respect Caleb. Niggas talking some Caleb just a box-to-box safety. He ain't gonna be like, niggas talking some Caleb not gonna be all that. Niggas like, niggas was saying Caleb was the best player in the draft. Some he ass and not like. In my opinion, Caleb was the best player in this draft, and he was the best player in this draft. Nick Saban himself said that nigga had more snaps than anybody in this whole draft.
He constantly chopped his feet when closing in on a ball carrier so he couldn't get frozen by a juke. He would read the quarterback's eyes before the receiver even broke out onto his route, which meant he was already moving by the time the throw left the QB's hands. When he hit, it was downhill and square, with the kind of physicality you expect from an inside linebacker rather than a teenager playing his first college games as a safety. He won the SEC Defensive Freshman of the Year award that season. That trophy typically goes to the best defensive freshman in the best conference in college football, and Downs won it without any real competition. The week after Saban announced his retirement, Caleb entered the transfer portal because his position coach, Travarius Robinson, had already left for Georgia. The new head coach was Kalen DeBoer, who had no prior relationship with Downs and no built-in trust, and for him, that was enough to move on. He couldn't sit still through a transition period, and he wanted to be learning a new defense and training immediately instead of waiting on the coaching staff to get organized. He received 102 calls in a single day after entering the portal, and every major program
Oh my gosh.
in the country was trying to get him. Georgia was considered the heavy favorite given he went to high school less than an hour away from their campus, but Caleb chose Ohio State instead. He cited his relationship
Yeah, you can't go to an op. Like, imagine that nigga left Alabama for Georgia. That would have been crazy. That's probably why the nigga ain't go to Georgia. Like, that's an op game. You know what I'm saying? That's Alabama biggest op. Like, you about to go to the op.
with secondary coach Tim Walton as a major factor. The portal moment was huge, and where he went next is what turned a great prospect into a generational one.
You know, and Ohio State worked out. He got a ring.
Ohio State took him in as the number 1 overall prospect in the transfer portal, and when Caleb touched down, it looked like he'd already been playing there for 3 years. In 2024, his first season with the Buckeyes, Downs put up 82 combined tackles and 8 tackles for loss to go along with 2 interceptions. Ohio State won the national championship that year with Caleb anchoring the back of their defense, and he wasn't just a piece of the unit. He was a primary communicator and the guy every other player on that defense keyed off on before the snap. In 2025, he won Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and the Jim Thorpe Award, which goes to the best defensive back in the entire country. Over his 2 seasons in
Bro, he a hell of a tackler, bro. For real.
Columbus, Ohio State allowed just 11.2 points per game, which was the fewest in the country, and it certainly wasn't a coincidence. The tape from Ohio State is where the generational prospect conversations becomes hard to argue against, because what you see him doing on film doesn't fit neatly into the safety position. Take his work as the whole player in Tampa 2, for example. When most safeties play that role, they're reading and reacting while waiting to see where the ball goes. But Downs reads the quarterback's eyes and jumps the route before the ball even leaves his hand. That requires processing at a level that most safeties develop over several NFL seasons, yet he was doing it in college against Big Ten offenses running pro-style concepts. His blitzing is another thing entirely, because he times his path off motion rather than just reading the snap count and going. He waits for specific pre-snap triggers and arrives at the point of attack before the protection can account for him, which is a concept most linebackers don't even.
Y'all notice, bro, this man is in all these clips, he is the first nigga there tackling the nigga with the ball. Like, he's there, bro. Like,
fully
I don't know. Now, y'all think this finally gonna be the Cowboys year, bro? Bro, this nigga gonna improve y'all defense heavy, bro. And y'all still got George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb on offense. It's just that preschool, bro. Like, can he lock in the postseason?
Until their second or third year in the league. Then there's how he handles tight ends and man coverage. The big nickel role.
That St. Clair nigga, Tavion St. Clair, bro. In my opinion, that nigga should start over Julian saying, like, but that nigga gonna be nice, bro. I seen clips, bro, from their spring game. That nigga got a crazy deep ball.
Requires winning one-on-one against tight ends and slot receivers in space. And
that nigga was there already. Caleb now, bro. They were already.
Downs does it with technique rather than just raw athleticism. He chops down on the release and attacks the hands while staying hip-to-hip on crossing routes. And watching him blanket a tight end looks less like a safety and more like a cornerback who happens to weigh 206 pounds. He admitted after the draft that he got bored in college because the ball wasn't coming his way and the talent wasn't always high level. That might sound like arrogance.
Damn.
But the game showed that offenses were genuinely scheming away from him. They would identify his alignment pre-snap.
And that's why he don't get picks. That's why he don't have a lot of picks, dumbass. Like, when we say we compare him to Ed Reed, we talking about his intelligentness on the field. That's why we saying he's Ed Reed. Y'all know how smart Ed Reed was, bro? Y'all remember?
Route their concepts.
If y'all watch football during that era.
To the other side of the field. And that's exactly what a shutdown player looks like. He just happened to be a safety. What makes all of this more impressive is the variety of defensive systems he operated in during his college career. He played for Saban at Alabama, Jen Knowles at Ohio State in 2024, and then Matt Patricia in 2025. These are 3 completely different systems in 3 years, and Downs mastered all of them without missing a beat. So now you understand what he is on film, but the question going into the draft was whether any of that would actually matter when teams started picking. Safety is one of the least valuable positions in the NFL draft, and that's not really a hot take because the numbers pretty much back it up. Since the year 2000, only 8 safeties have been selected in the top 10 picks. Quarterbacks, tackles, and edge rushers get taken early and often.
Yeah, they don't show respect to fucking safeties like that. But Jamal Adams, that boy was pick 6. Jamal Adams, that boy was a dog at LSU. That boy wasn't a dog.
But teams usually treat safety like a spot you fill in the 2nd or 3rd rounds before
Yup.
moving on to other needs. The few safeties
That's what, but I can't believe, bro. Y'all gonna stop disrespecting safeties, bro. Like for real. Look at Kyle Hamilton's, Brian Branches, Nick Warriors. Like, bro, it's crazy, but this nigga failed to 11, bro. Bro, the Cardinals should have took him. Fucking Commander should have took him. But now y'all needed Sonny Styles. Y'all needed a linebacker, but
who actually cracked the top 10 during that stretch were almost all physical freaks who made the value argument irrelevant. Sean Taylor stood at 6'2" and weighed 231 pounds while running like a cornerback. And LaRon Landry once clocked a 4.35 40-yard dash. Eric Berry had that same elite athleticism and played more like a
Eric Berry
linebacker than a deep safety. So teams justified those picks because the players transcended what the position normally looks like. Caleb stands at 6 foot tall and weighs 206 pounds. And since he didn't run the 40 at the combine, he lacks the wow measurements that make a GM forget what position he's drafting. This matters because spending a top 10 pick requires you to sell the choice to ownership and the head coach. Telling a room that a kid is incredibly smart and fundamentally sound is a much harder sell than saying he ran a 4.35 and benched 225 pounds 20 times. Then the knee rumors started to circulate after a report surfaced from an NFC scout claiming Downs had a partially torn meniscus and a potentially degenerative ACL. That kind of report doesn't even have to be accurate to do serious damage to a draft stock because it just has to exist in the conversation. Once teams see a red flag like that, a player who was a consensus top 10 talent suddenly becomes a question mark for front offices that were already looking for a reason to pass on the safety. Downs shut down those rumors directly at his pro day by stating his medical showed nothing of the sort, and Pat McAfee later confirmed through independent sources that no issues were flagged. On top of those reports, Caleb never missed a single game across 3 college seasons at Alabama and Ohio.
Yeah, that nigga never missed the game. Like,
Ohio State. And a degenerative knee simply doesn't let you stay that durable. When you think about where he landed, you have to remember that Minka Fitzpatrick, who was also elite out of college coming out of the Alabama program, went 11th back in 2018. Buda Baker was one of the most productive safeties of his generation back at Washington, but
bro, I love safeties, bro. Buda Baker, like, bro, I love safeties.
fell to pick 36.
Damn, Buda Baker with the Washington be producing some good safeties, cornerback like Trent McDuffie, fucking. What was that nigga that went to Washington? Fucking, I forgot his name. Is he in the NFL now? I forgot, bro, name. He was on that team with Michael Penix and them.
While Kyle Hamilton went 14th in 2022 because he had the physical profile that made teams comfortable spending that type.
Damn, Kyle Hamilton, a big nigga, bro. 6'4". He dropped because he was slow. You know what I'm saying?
Draft capital. The question was never whether Downs belonged in that elite company, but rather did teams trust the position enough to pay top 10 money for it? Dallas eventually answered that question by trading up from 12 to 11 and giving up 2 fifth-round picks to jump ahead of Miami. That move showed a front office that did the homework, believed the real medical reports, and they weren't going to just sit back and hope their guy fell one more spot. Christian Parker's only 34 years old, making him the youngest defensive coordinator in Cowboys franchise history, and also the new coach for Caleb Downs. His entire coaching background is rooted in the defensive backfield, and the system he's building in Dallas focuses on versatility and disguise to make offenses wrong before the snap. It's no coincidence they drafted Downs for this specific role. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer described what Parker wants from his nickel defender by saying that the player needs to cover like a corner, tackle like a linebacker, and blitz like a safety. Do you read?
And he do all that, literally.
That job description again, you will realize that it's a perfect word-for-word match for Caleb Downs. No other player in this draft class checks all 3 boxes the way he does, which explains why Christian spent the pre-draft process taking pictures of Downs to the front office. When the Cowboys finally landed Caleb at 11, Parker told Schottenheimer he would finally buy a house after living in a hotel since January. He had been grinding film for months, and getting Caleb was the one thing that made him comfortable enough to finally put down roots in Dallas. The role that Caleb will step into is the big nickel, and we should explain
That nigga drafted Caleb Downs finally brought out. That nigga felt like he was gonna get fired. That's why I think was living in hotels. That nigga said, "Oh, we drafted Caleb Downs. I can finally buy a house now. I think I might be here for a while."
what that actually looks like for a defense run by Christian Parker. In any given
That's low key smart though. I ain't gonna lie. You know, hotels expensive, bro. You guys spend like $100 for a night, but he got that. You know what I'm saying?
game, Downs might start a play in the slot, matching a tight end in man coverage, but on the very next snap, he could rotate into the box as an extra run defender. On third down, you might see him playing center field in a single high look to take away the deep middle, or he could walk up late and come off the edge on a delayed blitz. Having one player handle 4 completely different jobs means this isn't just a scheme fit, but rather a scheme.
Now, about his coverage, Caleb Downs seemed like a good cover, but I never really seen him cover like that. You know what I'm saying?
Built around entirely one specific player. The Cowboys allowed 31 points per game last year, which marks the worst in the NFL. And the problem was that they lacked a true communicator in the secondary. They needed someone who could get 10 other guys into the right spots so the defense was sound before the ball was even hiked. Caleb was that leader at Ohio State, and every scout who watched his tape talked about his ability to run the show. There's a national scout named Ross Weinsch who's been with the organization of the Dallas Cowboys for 14 years, and he admitted he had never seen a room as excited for a player as they were the moment they took downs. These are people who watch film for a living and have seen hundreds of prospects, yet they were genuinely fired up. Parker doesn't know exactly how his first year as a coordinator will go, but the foundation he's building has one specific player at the center of it. Caleb arrived in Dallas already knowing how to run 3 different NFL caliber defensive systems, and that level of intelligence is exactly
But a nigga went to Alabama and Ohio State.
what this defense was missing. Caleb changes the entire math for a defense just by being on the field, and the Cowboys clearly saw enough on tape to trade up for that kind of impact. So there you have it. Watch this next video if you haven't already.
Make sure to subscribe. You got Jalen Hurts holding the Super Bowl as your profile picture, so you a Philly fan, bro. There's so many Philly fans, bro. I ain't know it's Philly for sure. Y'all have the most annoying fan base in the NFL. Hands down, y'all fan base is annoying as hell. Like with that whole Jalen Hurts top 5 debate, y'all for sure got that type. Y'all is the most annoying fan base ever, for sure. But I'm out deuces.